Welcome to Talking Schmitz. I'm your host, Nate Schmitz. The goal of this show is to help you improve both mentally and physically. Enjoy the show.
All right. Today's episode is one you do not want to sleep on.
Son of a, why you gotta do that?
What do you mean?
That was good.
Because today we're going to be talking all about sleep. Just because sleep is one of those things that we all agree is really, really important. And yet, so many people, myself included, will forego sleep or sort of ignore it and take it for granted when there's so many things that make it so important for us.
Oh, definitely. It's one of the most overlooked things in actually having a successful diet and exercise plan, but we generally don't truly know just how important it is. And I see it all the time with people neglecting their sleep in, honor of doing an extra workout or, supplementing things. It's
I
like,
do this in honor
yeah, well, they want to be
of
more
being a
productive.
badass.
Yes, I'll sleep when I'm dead is kind of the way a lot of people put it. But
So terrible.
hopefully, we can lay a lot of these myths to rest after this episode.
Put them to sleep.
Yes.
There's so many reasons why sleep is so crucial for us. Can you give me one of your favorite reasons, Nate?
Well, as a muscle bound man,
Yes.
that's literally the only time you're anabolic. Even if you are taking anabolic steroids, the only time you're actually building is when you sleep. Because every waking hour of the day, we're catabolic and we're catabolizing tissue and stressing tissue.
So if we want to build muscle, we definitely want to get a good night's sleep every night.
And you can't just sleep your way into shreddedness either.
Man, you're saying I still have to work out?
Yes, you do still have to work out. And so it's a balance of the signals. You got the work signal to force the adaptation, and then sleep to allow you to actually adapt.
Okay, that makes sense. Otherwise, people in vegetative comas would wake up just so jacked.
Oh, yeah, just huge. They'd be the
Just,
world's greatest bodybuilders.
it's like 10 years in a coma, you wake up, you don't recognize your wife, but you just look juicy.
If that were the case, there would be a lot of medically induced comas and people prepping for bodybuilding shows.
Yeah, that would be the new health club.
Coma, come check us out. Well, and even to fully utilize all the nutrition from a healthy diet, hopefully everyone out there is transitioning to a healthier and healthier one. You're going to utilize some of those calories for energy during the day, but a lot of the nutrition to recover your brain, your body, pretty much every part of you, you're going to use while you sleep. And that's why sleep really is honestly one of the most important things for people to focus on, because poor sleep will cut almost all your results in half, if not by more.
And along with the physical benefits that come with sleep, also come the cognitive benefits. Sleep is crucial for building those learning pathways, reinforcing the memories that we are collecting during the day and putting it into long term memory. Rapid eye movement sleep, or REM sleep, enhances the consolidation of emotionally charged memories by modulating activity in the amygdala and prefrontal cortex. Further, it's also beneficial for helping with things like anxiety and depression control and just helping with your mood overall, which makes sense because when people are not getting enough sleep, they tend to be more cranky and on edge or stressed out. They have more brain fog when they're not sleeping well. So, all of these things come together to be very helpful and healing for the brain.
Oh, definitely. We got to transition some of those Snicker commercials as opposed to just you're not self when you're hungry. You're also not yourself when you're sleepy.
So now that we've established that sleep's very important for us, we also want to dispel some of the most common myths that come with sleep as well.
And the first one is going to be you need at least 8 hours of sleep a night. That one you can kind of throw in the trash, and it's more about paying attention to your body and how well rested you are. I mean, you can always use a sleep tracker, but I still want people to be able to learn what a restful night's sleep feels like when you wake up. And so, if you're well rested at, say, 6 hours of sleep,
Mhm.
then that's all you'll really need each night to recover. And of course, it will depend on activity levels. But if you're someone who needs a little bit more than 8 hours of sleep, perhaps nine, that's going to be your sleep to aim for. Just because you get 8 hours doesn't mean you actually get 8 hours of quality sleep. And so, general rule for the sleep cycles is you want to aim for about 30, 90-minute sleep cycles per week. So spread that out over days depending on how busy your day is and things like that.
It's hard to track that many sleep cycles.
Yeah, and that's where again the trackers are nice, but if you're sleeping in 90-minute cycles, so an hour and a half, and you do 4 cycles in one night, that'll end up being like 6 hours of sleep. And so if you do, 9 hours, that's 6 cycles, and then so you just break it into those kind of 3, 6, and 9 cycles.
And there's a lot of individual variation when it comes to sleep requirements from person to person. And like you said, it depends on the duration of sleep as well as the depth and quality of sleep that you are able to achieve. So if you are fortunate enough that you're one of those people that if you sleep 5 hours at night and then you wake up feeling rested and you're functional during the day, then consider yourself lucky that you're able to get away with that little of sleep.
Correct. Yeah. Pay attention to how you feel. And if you feel pretty awful every morning, there may be a number of reasons, but generally you can look at your 10 plus hours of sleep and still feeling awful as a sign you're not getting good quality sleep.
Probably a good time to check in with a doctor or psychiatrist if you're sleeping excessively and you're still feeling tired. There could be another sleep disorder that goes beyond the scope of this podcast.
Correct.
Myth number two, one that I hear a lot, is that alcohol and marijuana can help you with your sleep.
You mean chugging a beer and smoking a joint right before sleep isn't a good thing?
You would think that it were, right?
It's always knocked me out.
And that's the thing too, is that with those substances, it'll work acutely to be able to shut the brain down so that you can fall asleep. But as far as being a sustainable practice for helping your sleep long term, it's not a very effective strategy.
Good to know.
Because according to the American Society of Addiction Medicine, alcohol will decrease that recuperative REM sleep at the beginning of the night. So once the body metabolizes the alcohol and then it wears off in the middle of the night, you'll essentially be withdrawing from alcohol. And then that will lead to a rebound effect that increases heart rate and anxiety.
Counter to what you actually want while you're sleeping.
So when that happens, you'll have increased stress hormones and that extra anxiety, and that can lead to nightmares and night terrors in the middle of the night. A lot of times, people with chronic alcohol use disorders, they tend to have poor quality of sleep, they have more nightmares and higher levels of anxiety.
And so, what about the marijuana?
And marijuana and alcohol work in a similar way in the brain when it comes to sleep, because a lot of people take marijuana to try to help them sleep. And the problem with that is that marijuana will work to an extent because it's a depressant similar to how alcohol is depressant, in that it more just shuts the brain down so it doesn't feel anything in the moment. Or if you have some anxiety or racing thoughts, the marijuana can slow that down so that you're able to fall asleep. The problem with that is that the body and the brain can become dependent on the marijuana. And as your body becomes really used to the marijuana, your body needs more of it, or it starts to metabolize it more quickly. So even in the middle of the night, similar to alcohol, you can finish metabolizing the marijuana. And as it wears off, you can also have another rebound effect of a rebound anxiety. So it takes you out of the more recuperative phases of sleep and puts you into the less optimal phases of sleep too.
Like many chemicals, don't become dependent on things to help you sleep.
If you're saying that you need alcohol or marijuana to sleep, what that really indicates is that there's some underlying issue that needs to be addressed because nobody needs alcohol or needs marijuana to sleep. If you're so used to smoking marijuana every night to sleep and then you stop it cold turkey all of a sudden and then you have insomnia, it doesn't mean that you need weed. Please talk to a doctor or figure something else out for yourself to be able to get off the marijuana. I guarantee that you'll be able to sleep better in the long term.
Oh, yeah. You're just essentially creating a longer negative feedback loop that you don't want to be in. And on terms of that myth with chemicals, another myth that most people fall for because it just feels so good is you need to be warm and bundled to get good sleep, which couldn't be further from the truth. Sleeping in cooler environments is actually much more recuperative for our central nervous system and for our bodies. Not to say you need to sleep in an igloo and sleep on ice, but we do have a regular temperature drop when we sleep that is a signal for our body to start to recover. And if you are chronically bundled and heated, you're actually limiting the amount of recovery you get when you sleep and the depth to which you can get in sleep as well. So you're not actually getting as deep and recuperative a sleep if you're all warm and bundled. And then the easiest example I can give almost anybody to really attach to this one is think of just how shitty your sleep is on one of those hot summer days. You
Mhm.
can't take enough blankets off and you're just sweating and you can't sleep. And so you wake up feeling miserable because you got an awful night's rest because you're just overheated the entire night.
Just yell at your dog.
Yeah, just, "Ah," and then, there's a little yelp perhaps.
What the was that a dog punting joke?
Yeah.
What are you saying?
Please don't punch your dogs. Start to aim for a slightly cooler environment to sleep in to really enhance your recovery.
Which makes a lot of sense because your body does have to decrease its body temperature for you to be able to fall asleep and to slow the metabolism and really ramp up those recovery processes that you talked about in that anabolic state.
Heated blankets and heaters and all this control is a very new environment for us to sleep in. Generally, the only way for us to stay warm previously was, with furs and someone else's body heat.
For single people, this is an advantage because I hear single people go like, "Oh, I don't have a warm body to snuggle with and keep me warm at night." To which I say, "Good. You'll have higher quality sleep.
Congratulations.
Get those cooler temperatures. The cold loneliness will help those sleep cycles." Right, Nate?
Correct. But don't.
At least that's what I tell myself when I go to sleep at night. Alone.
Yes, sleeping with someone can be quite annoying, especially if they're kickers.
By kicking dogs.
Yeah, thanks. So now that we've dispelled a few of the myths, what are some of the things that people can take away to actually enhance their sleep?
One thing to keep in mind is that our bodies and brains are in a circadian rhythm, and that we tend to do better when we sleep around the same time and wake around the same time every day. Also, your bedroom and bed should be a place of recovery and where your sleep takes place. So don't sleep around, Nate.
What?
And that it's better to always associate your bedroom with sleep and not be sleeping on the subway or on the street. Now our homeless listeners are gonna get mad at me.
Hey, if they sleep in the same spot every day, they're golden.
But if you can stick to having a routine day after day, that will tell the brain to start relaxing and releasing things like melatonin on a clockwork basis. So you'll be able to sleep better at night. The bed should be for sleep and also for sex.
Yes. So get off of your phones.
So get off your phones. If possible, just leave the phone outside of the bedroom unless you're recording sex.
And pro tip, that's the only time. But yeah, so eliminate those electronic devices, TVs, all those different things as best you can. Part of the habit of making your bedroom for sleep and sex.
It would even be more ideal for sleep if sex was like in a different room and it was always there.
Well, more for I'd say ladies, because guys, sex tends to make us pass out. So it's it's a good it's very conducive to
'Cause
really restful sleep.
it's like the bed is right there.
So they had it right in those 50s shows where they had separate beds. They would have sex in one bed, and that'd be the one the guy sleeps in, and then the wife would move over to the other bed and then sleep on her bed for sleep.
When I was like a young idiot, I thought it would be a cool idea to have like a sex room in the house. And then my brain would associate that room with sex and then my bedroom with sleep. I probably would sleep better. This was before I started going to church, clearly.
Yeah, and it's a good thing that you didn't have that because who knows, your sex room might have turned into your sleep room unintentionally.
Just sleeping in a sex dungeon every night.
Jeez. Ooh, that can't be good for you. Don't do that type of stuff unless it's, you're fancy. One of my favorite tips, and hopefully the numbers can be easy to remember, is the 10-3-2-1 rule. But general rule to really help with sleep without having to rely on chemicals is within 10 hours of bed, try to avoid caffeine. So if you normally go to bed at 10 p.m., don't have any coffee or energy drinks or caffeine pills after 12 at noon. Hopefully, you do a little longer than that, but that gives you time to metabolize all of that caffeine so that you can get more restful sleep. Because there's a lot of people out there who will complain about poor night's rest, but they're more focused on productivity. So they're just pounding caffeine and then wonder why they can't get good sleep.
Keep it far away from your desired bedtime, the caffeine.
Correct. And then to reinforce the alcohol, but the three is within 3 hours of sleep, no food or alcohol. And this is another one that people kind of miss the mark based off of busy work schedules and things like that. So kind of take the time to redesign your day because your body needs what's called rest and digest. And so if you eat food right before bed or you're a night snacker, your body's going to focus more on digestion than it will on rest. And so it's going to inhibit your recovery while you sleep. And that's the main reason for avoiding within about 3 hours for eating food and especially alcohol, so that you can actually, if you do drink, metabolize your alcohol so that you don't have that rebound period you'd mentioned earlier.
Ideally, yes, if you're going to drink alcohol, keep it further away from bedtime.
And then the two is within 2 hours of sleep, no exercise. Sex doesn't count, so get that out of your head.
Cardio.
Yeah, even that one, yeah, don't worry about the sex part. Like, oh, you said no exercise, so no sex. Like, eh, stay away from that one. But no actual exercise, no super intense exercise. You can do a little more lightweight stuff if you wanted, but in general, exercise is excitatory. It gets our body amped up, it gets the adrenaline going, it gets the endorphins going. So it's going to inhibit the quality of sleep you get. And so if you can exercise not closer within 2 hours of sleep, you're going to get way better quality sleep. And so try and work your schedule for that one as well. And then the final number, the one, so in the 10-3-2-1, is no screen time. So don't be watching movies, don't be on your phone, computer, whatever electronic device, because the blue light specifically from those is telling your brain that, hey, it's still daytime, so it stays awake and it doesn't start to produce the melatonin levels necessary for quality sleep, let alone it's going to excite your brain and give you anxiety and dopamine and all those other things just from watching a really cool show or playing a cool game.
And the worst is lying in bed and staring at your phone or staring at a TV. You're practically staring at the sun.
Yeah. Another one, most of us, especially in this age of technology, we like to make excuses for, like, oh no, but I need to do my emails or this or that. It's like, okay, these are guidelines, so try to apply them and you'll see wonderful results in the coming weeks to where you can actually be, say, more productive on your emails in the morning or what your games, your workouts, everything, all these things really do help getting you into a better sleep state, which gives you better days.
So, if you were going to eat certain foods at dinner or before bed, do you have any recommendations for us?
Oh, definitely. The best time for carbohydrates for most people is going to be at dinner time. It's going to fill you up. The association that most people will have is the Thanksgiving Day nap that most people take. That's definitely an overload on carbs, so don't do that every night. But that spike in carbohydrates is actually what triggers us to put into a deeper sleep state. So having your carbohydrates at night, which helps us to produce more serotonin in the gut, which is the precursor to our melatonin, will actually get more restful and recuperative sleep. And you're also sending a good signal of satiety and nutrition to the body that it's not starving, so it'll actually do more to recover rather than, going to bed hyper fasted and not having had some carbohydrates.
But in summary, sleep is just so important for every single human being because it puts us in an anabolic state to help us to put on muscle, as well as helping with our cognition and focus and just keeping us more alert.
Well, it's where we learn.
We would encourage you to track your sleep and listen to your body to see what habits and what amount of sleep works best for you. Try to find that sweet spot and try to keep that consistent. Try to avoid things like alcohol, marijuana, and other substances if you want to have the best sleep possible. Try to sleep in cool environments.
Oh, yeah. And then apply that 10-3-2-1 rule. Have your carbs at night. Just apply this consistency to really reap a lot of the benefits, as well as, don't necessarily become super neurotic about it and have fun when you do, say, have a party with friends or things like that. And just plan that that's not going to be a night that you're going to get really good quality sleep.
And really just adding just one of these habits one by one over a long period of time that really adds up.
Oh, yeah, you're going to reap a whole bunch of rewards. So consider this our invitation to come sleep with us.
You're here.
Thanks for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed today's episode of Talking Schmitz. Remember to subscribe, leave us a review, and share us with your friends. Your support helps us reach more people and continue bringing you quality content. You can find us on Instagram at talking_Schmitz, and we'll catch you next time.